How's it going? This is Sherrod, and we're still on the eligibility portion of our P-1A drafting series. And right now, we're going to deal with the eligibility of expert letters and opinions. So this is actually something we come at two ways. One is this can be proven within the media articles that you get online. Because if you have good ones, you're going to have high-level reporters that are giving distinct and really thorough opinions on the athletes just in their articles naturally. The other way to do it is to have experts write new letters that are just tailored for this purpose of obtaining the visa. A lot of times we get ours approved just with using the articles we find online for our higher level athletes or athletes that just have a lot of press. Other times, if the athlete is on the borderline, having some good expert opinion letters can really push it over the borderline. Now, the thing to think about is just because you have an expert opinion doesn't mean that the category is going to be satisfied. Those experts have to have something to talk about. And it's something we're going to give a couple of examples on. So two ways that they'll attack the expert opinions is one, they'll say that the writer of the opinion is not an expert. So whatever they say, it's not responsive enough to satisfy the category. The other thing they'll say is even if the expert is qualified, the details, the meat of the letter does not speak to any specific thing that makes it important or leap off the page to show that they are internationally recognized, leading, or well-known in more than one country. So let's go ahead and share the screen so we can show you our examples of what we're talking about. And one thing about expert opinion letters is they're very helpful for proving the other categories. Say, for example, if you're looking at awards and rankings and national team participation, these expert letters can be used to describe how those selection processes went down, how respected those accomplishments are in the industry, and other things that are useful. Like we've used expert letters to show that this is the industry standard way that contracts are done, or to show that athletes of a certain level ranking are always highly coveted to be in promotional bouts in mixed martial arts and boxing. And there's a lot of things that we use expert letters for besides just trying to satisfy this category. All right. And remember that there's two ways to do it. One is with media that's already available in articles. The other one is with letters that are written specifically for the petition. So right here, I'm showing the first way that we attack this in one of our templates. As you can see, it's color coded, so we know what part to address with what. But it says here, a written statement from a recognized media or industry expert in sport that details how the beneficiary is internationally recognized. That's standard language you like to put in here. So, that's actually the second one I want to show you. The first one I want to show you was this one. Publications about the beneficiary showing the alien or team is internationally recognized to the extent that the beneficiary is renowned, leading, or well-known in more than one country. And then here we provide a little bit of case law and clarification on how we're presenting this information. And there's a case law right there. Basically, we use this case law because there used to be a time where online publications were looked not as well on as opposed to the paper or magazine publishing. So this holding helps us establish that the online publications are just as fine and persuasive. The first thing that we adjust is we show the sources of where we get this information from. And we like to put the most robust and well-known articles and sources up front and kind of move to the less known in the back. And then here, what we like to do is we list the title of the article. Sometimes the author will be in here if they're well known. And we also try to always include an about us of the source of it. So even if it's ESPN, we'll include a press kit. If it's about boxing, we'll go to their about us page and put that there, because a lot of times there's information about the authors, the board, the and also the viewership of that particular source. And we include all of those conveniently in our exhibits that go along with the petition. And sometimes we'll even have excerpts of what it says about the athlete. And also sometimes there'll be viewership numbers of like how many viewers per month does this particular publication have. And then next, kind of like down at the end, this is where we include our excerpts from experts. And we'll have an excerpt that says what they said about the athlete. And then also we'll back those with exhibits of showing that this expert is actually an expert. And we try not to use Wikipedia, LinkedIn, or resumes. We always try to find third-party confirmation that shows that these experts are who they say they are. Now let's get into some examples of requests for evidence to show you how USCIS pushes back on these expert letters. So right here, this is a petition in motorsports for an RFE that we're fixing for another attorney. It says, you submitted a letter prepared by Adam Olive, a marketing media manager. Media and marketing managers are communication and public relations specialists who implement various forms of media campaigns. Does not appear to qualify as a recognized expert in the field of motorsport. So that's kind of fair. Now, to backtrack, sometimes marketing people can be considered experts, and the way that we argue that is to say, well, they're making decisions on sponsorships of who to sponsor. And sponsoring the most popular athlete, who is usually the most well-known, is something that you have to have a skill for because they're investing on that and trying to get a return. So when you take that type of approach, it is possible for marketing people to qualify as experts in the field, but you have to really thread that needle to get USCIS to understand that. And so what we did on this one is, and this is another strategy to think about, is there's the eligibility for the governing body of the sport issuing a letter. But this same letter can also be used as an expert opinion if you establish that the official writing it is someone that is an expert on that industry and not just an official with the organization making a consultation letter. And that's what we did in this one. So as you can see here, this one is longer than your typical sport body letter. And this is something to do when you have the opportunity to kind of input some of the language that goes in there. So here, he, after talking about who the organization is, he introduces himself and talks about his own personal knowledge of motorbike racing, and then goes into detail a lot, going the extra mile to show why each of these accomplishments are so important and what they mean in the grand scheme of the industry. In this case, is motorbike racing. So that's one thing to think about too, is consultation letters can also be expert opinion if they're formatted properly and presented with enough detail by somebody who is actually an expert. Next, we'll look at this one, which is from a boxer. So here, similar to the letter from the WBC, this is one where they push back on the consultation letter. The letters offer superlative descriptions of the beneficiary's skill set and talent. However, talent alone are insufficient to satisfy this criterion, right? And look, they'll use words that were used in the letters. Biggest prospect right here, or amateur career. And that's why it's really important to be careful about what words you use in these expert opinion letters. We like to use the words that they use: internationally recognized, leading or well-known in more than one country. And then stay away from things that might be problematic. For example, prospect or amateur contender, especially contender. Now, we know in boxing that contender is everybody that's not the champion. So you can be ranked second in the world and still be a contender because you're not the champion. And also, biggest prospects doesn't mean that you are, just getting started. Biggest prospects often mean people ranked anywhere from 10 to 250, depends on where they are. But it doesn't at all mean that the beneficiary is not internationally recognized. but we don't like to distract you at CIS with problematic verbiage. We always try to use strong language that they use in their request for evidence and the regulations, just so we can be sure that they don't dock us for using, terminology that's in the industry that they can use to turn against us. And then also, you can't just say like somebody's skilled and talented, they really know how to dribble a basketball, or they really know how to, tackle. You have to show actual accomplishments, actual rankings, things that set them apart. Right. So here, what we did is we went back in this RFE and included descriptions of why certain organizations, not just the awards themselves, but the organization bodies that gave them out are important in great detail. And then also went back and had the governing body add some helpful language and context to the letters so that we can push that across the finish line. But that's one thing to know. Stay away from problematic verbiage. Try to stay away from any language that can show that, the athlete's not at the top tier of their particular sport, even if it's a term that's regularly used in the industry. Just use verbiage that anyone can understand and stay away from problematic things.